Monday afternoon. Going to be starting a new project tonight. Working on Steven's Volkswagen. See if we can't make something of it.
So a lot of folks have been asking me to explain what I'm doing as I'm working. They don't want to see me work. They want to know how to do things. They want to understand things as we go along. So the start of this project, when you're working on the front end of a Volkswagen, first thing you got to do is gain access. By gaining access means removing the gas tank. Luckily on this project it was almost out of gas, so we didn't have no trouble there. So we're getting the gas tank removed. Looks like it's already been cleaned out and kind of painted. That's a good thing. So once you remove the gas tank, everything you need is right there. You've got access to the tie rod ends, you got access to the steering box, to the rag joint. That's where you start the project of working on the front end of a Volkswagen. That's the inside part. That's the controls of it. Once you get that loosened up, get the steering damper undone, the horn undone, then you can move to the outside. So as you see here coming up, we're removing the wheel. We bought a lot of new parts for this thing. It's going to be installing a new disc brake kit. Kit comes with all new bearings, seals, everything. So we're removing the hub here. Keep in mind, this is the original parts that are still on this car. These bearings, these seals, these brakes, they're wore out. They've been on here for since it was new. So all that needed replacing anyway. We're putting a new disc brake kit on it. It's a real nice kit from Impy. Comes with all new bearings and seals, new lines, new pads, rotors, everything you need to install a kit. Of course, we also put new ball joints in, new tie rod ends. Everything on this car is new from wheel to wheel. We'll kind of go through that in this video, showing you what we done and how we done it, and try to explain it to the best of my ability. So I hope you enjoy. Again tomorrow. So last night you saw we got the red 67 tore down, got the front end, the beam, got the beam out of it, got the front end stripped down completely. So tonight's just been about cleaning parts. Y'all know how I am about cleanliness. I've been wire wheeling this front end beam, wire wheeling it, took the DA sander, scraper, just trying to get it as clean as possible. Went ahead and knocked the ball joints out of the control arms. I'll show you that here in just a second. So tomorrow afternoon we're gonna come in here and start putting some paint on it. Get it all painted and cleaned up, ready to go back in. Probably try to get it back in for the weekend. Steven went today. I talked him into buying a front disc brake kit for it. You know, I've fooled with these Volkswagens for years and years. If it's one thing I've learned, they struggle in the brake department, especially the early models. Brake shoes are real narrow. So if I could tell anybody, where do you spend your money on a Volkswagen, how do you spend your money wisely, I start with disc brakes.
I don't care how good it runs. If you can't stop, it's dangerous. So that's where I would start at, and that's what he did. So we're gonna be installing them with the new front end. I think he bought stainless steel lines. Gonna be a real nice kit he bought from Impy. Steven buys all his parts at Ed's Foreign Car in Gadsden. I've never been in the shop. I don't know Mr. Ed personally, but I've heard a lot of good things about him. Man has a lot of experience in the years dealing with these Volkswagens. I need to get up here and meet this gentleman and buy some parts from him. I like to buy parts locally. So that's gonna wrap it up for tonight. We'll be putting this video together, probably have it out closer to the weekend. So just hang in here with us, stay tuned. There's a lot more to come on this red 67. Install new rubber bushings between the top of the beam and the body. There's a little tight going back in. Just have to take your time going back together and all this stuff. You don't want to cross thread nothing. Like everything. So now we're working towards getting the ball joints in. I hadn't filmed all this. I've already stuck the control arms on. That's pretty self-explanatory. They just go in. They line up on the square parts of the spring set. You put the set screw right back in the dimple. You lock the lock nut back down. Pretty simple, pretty self-explanatory. So I'm just trying to get the ball joints in. I've already took my, not rotary file, but my kind of drum sander. It took to these control arms. Just try to knock any rust and any paint out of them within it. Make it a little easier to slide the new ball joints in. You don't ever want to beat on a ball joint. You don't want to heat it or anything like that. You get it all out of shape and distorted, and there again, ball joint comes apart when you're going down the road. If you see here, have a double notch. That is where the pivot point is. Alright, so we got the wheels on. Looks like everything's clearing. We'll check it out a little bit more in depth. Right now I want to get them on the ground. I got a feeling these spindles a little bit different. I got a feeling it lowered this car a little bit more. So we'll see.
That looks really good. Really, really good. Car's gonna have a really good stance. Alright, so before I forget, one thing I always do, I can't tell you enough. I've seen this happen time and time again. Torque the wheels, guys. Don't take it just a second. Be sure. Everybody misses something. Everybody makes a mistake. And I'm telling you, the click of that torque wrench, if it's set right, the confirmation. Go around them in a crisscross pattern, and you'll know they're torqued. Whether it's a project you're working on, whether it's your family car, it might be your daughter's car. Well, that car coming down the road head on is somebody else's daughter's car. When you're working on these projects, always remember, this thing's fixing to run up down the road. It's going to be an oncoming traffic. Oncoming traffic with somebody's kid, somebody's mama, somebody's daddy. Accidents happen. Please, I ask you to be careful. Pay attention to what you're doing. Listen for that click. Every bolt, every nut has a torque value. And the only way to assure that the job's done right, the only way to assure that the job's done safely and correctly is to achieve that torque value. If that bolt don't achieve that torque value, there's something wrong with it. It's stretched. Change it out. Nuts and bolts are cheap. So in this final part of tonight's video, I started hooking up the rag joint, connecting the steering rod to the steering box. A couple of things didn't line up right here. I got to go back and make some adjustments. Everything should line right up and bolts should fall right in place. I got to get some new hardware. A couple of the bolts were kind of boogered up. I'm going to change them out so I can put them back in, get them lined up, get everything set. So we're still waiting on the pitman arm. We'll get the replacement pitman arm tomorrow. Finish this thing up, and then it'll be as easy as lining the front end up, bleeding the brakes. And the front end part, of course, will be done when we put the gas tank back in. It's been a really good project. Really enjoyed it. It's always good working with good parts, good new parts. It's a lot easier than trying to make things work, trying to force things back in place. All right, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please look back through some of our older videos. There's more Volkswagen videos, more truck videos, more shoebox Ford videos. And also there's more to come. We got a big show coming up at the end of this month. Lineville, Alabama. Show benefits the Shriners of America. It's always a good show. 300, maybe even 500 cars. Always depends on the weather. Turnouts, usually determined by that. So it's a big swap meet on Saturday. Car show on Sunday. Hey, I hope everyone enjoyed this video, enjoyed this Red 67 project. Let me know what you think, what you want to see, what you don't understand. Stay tuned for next week's video. We're going to remove the engine and transmission, start doing some cleanup work on it, and get it running. Thank you.